expecting about 400 over people today. But before we start, if you are a guest here, you are not part of the KW family, you are either you're in Malaysia, but you're not part of KW family, please press 1. We just want to welcome you right now. As a guest, please press 1. All right, we've got a lot of guests here today who are not from KW Malaysia and not from Malaysia. Oh, sorry, not from KW family. Thank you. All right, welcome to this call today. I also want to take opportunity right now. If you are not from Malaysia, you are from our KW family from the other regions outside of Malaysia, please put your country in that chat box right now. Just say hi and just put which KW region do you belong to. Portugal. Hey, Nuno. Nice seeing you here today, Nuno. All right. Philippines, thank you. Welcome KW Philippines, welcome KW Portugal, welcome KW Indonesia, Linda. All right. Awesome. Welcome, Belle. Welcome. How many of you are excited to hear from the Matt Teter? How many of you are excited right now? If you are, please press say yes. All right. Awesome. The first time I met Matt was in May 2019 in Austin, Texas, where we were going through KW Malaysia's regional training. As we were doing that, we had one session. It was just a year ago, exactly 1 year ago today. Matt Teter was speaking to the KW Malaysia training that was happening in Austin. There were 20 of us went over there before we were adopting and launching the region of Malaysia. And he took the time of an hour to talk to us about leadership. And that was my first conversation and my first experience with Matt. And what I gather from that conversation that Matt, it's probably one of the most authentic trainers and the most real down-to-earth guy. He has depth and he has so much experience and he's so passionate. And he moved all of us in that room that day. And I thought in this season, what more can we do by asking Matt to come in this session for us to just talk to us and give us some perspective and insights, and in relation to the need analysis of how can we then use this tool that is so powerful to have good conversations with our clients and with the people that we are trying to serve and add value to. So without further ado, Matt, are you on the call? Are you here, Matt?
Yes, I'm here. Jonathan, thank you so much.
There you go. Take us away, Matt. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Well, we've got Malaysia, we've got Indonesia, we've got Portugal, we've got the Philippines. I'm here in Austin, Texas. This is what my office looked like when I was an agent with my wife in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So this was my office there that you can see in Philadelphia. So we got the whole world represented here. And so I've been to Indonesia. I've had the pleasure of being in Bali. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. I'm excited to get back there in the future. We've got a chance to be in Kuala Lumpur, and so we've stopped down and spent a little bit of time there. However, we've got to get to the Philippines. We've got to get to Portugal, right? Absolutely have to get to those places as well. I haven't been there yet. And so it's an excellent experience to be able to be here with you. I know it's late in the evening. You're making some time, after you spend some time with your family, after you've gone through a long workday. And so I hope and trust will make this a valuable experience for you this morning. I want to talk through a couple of things today in our short time together. And what we're going to talk through is we're going to talk through the mindset that's important. First and foremost, for us to overcome any fear or any challenges that we're currently experiencing ourselves and that our clients or the people that we're serving are experiencing. We're going to talk about the biggest problems that we can solve in our business today. And then I'm going to give you a tool. I'm going to give you a single model that we've written here at Keller Williams, that we've written within our organization inside Keller Williams, which is called MAPS Coaching. I'm going to give you a model to be able to look through how do you conduct a needs analysis, right? And this could be a needs analysis, understanding the needs of your clients and your clients' motivation. It could be understanding the needs, right, of someone looking to join Keller Williams. It could be ultimately, if you're looking to build a team, understanding the needs of that person joining a team. and how specifically can you generate, right, a powerful conversation for those individuals to understand what they need and how to be able to convert that business, whether it's a real estate transaction, whether it's somebody that you're recruiting, whether it's looking to grow your organization and going through that process. Does that make sense? Yeah, I see a couple people nodding their heads, and so I love seeing your face and doing that. And you can certainly answer in the chat box. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. So okay, great. Here's the first question I've asked the entire world. I'd love for you to put in the chat box, right, what your answers are, and really just think about it, right? And I want to go through a couple of these first before we get into a needs analysis, which is, what is the biggest problem that we could solve in your business today? Right? What is the biggest problem that we could solve in your business today? What are you struggling with? What do you face? What obstacle are you facing in your business currently? Right? Human relationships, right? I'm just gonna read through some of them and type them out. So what are the struggles? What are the obstacles? What is it that, right, changes? The owner doesn't want to lower the price, right? The new normal. Motivated sellers, buyer's choice and budget, creating buyer urgency, right? Getting a client to say yes, how to keep the customer in the loop in the longer term, cash flow, emotion, right? Communication. Okay, what else? What else are you facing that are challenges in your business today? What's changed? Building your business, recruiting. Okay, what else? Oh, okay, got it. The bank loans are struggling to approve, right? Financing. Right? Taking good listings, right? Taking good listings, finding motivated sellers, right? Identifying leads, getting to yes, right? Okay, got it. Is there anything else that you're facing or struggling with right now? Uncertainty, limiting beliefs that we currently have? Yeah. They're up. Yep. Okay. Anything else that you're facing? I'm just looking to see, right? Okay. Seller adjustments. Buyers think they're the kings, right? That's funny. Property value versus seller selling price, right? Getting potential buyers, self-discipline, right? I love that. I love the self-discipline aspect of that. Our mobility, right? Okay, got it. Our mobility. Lack of motivation to move. COVID-19, right? Got it. More sellers than buyers. Yep. That could happen, right? Feeling of rejection. Okay, got it. What else are you facing? These are good. What else are you facing? Following standard operating procedures, difficult owners. So the reason why I went through that process is not much business right now, right, is what we're seeing. First of all, does it help you to see other people in the chat box putting things that you're personally experiencing? Yes or no? Does it help you to see that you're not alone in the challenges that you're facing? Yes? Okay. I've asked this question to begin calls around the world. What's the biggest problem that you're facing in your business today? And to be honest, that's a question that I would challenge you to ask every morning when you wake up. Right? What's the biggest problem that I could solve in my business today? What's the biggest thing that I could do to change or impact my business today? And truly, if that was your focus or your one thing or what you made a decision to be able to move your business forward on, right? If we look at this, right, really the categories of challenges that you're having are mindset, right? Your own mindset and the mindset of your clients, your schedule, right? How do you time block your schedule? What do you do to be able to operate your schedule? Remote work. How do I work remotely? How do I work in an environment remote work, right? Then what I see is overcoming fear, objections, and the skill development and the pipeline development to be able to find the motivated. Would you agree that those are kind of the big categories or the big rocks that you're facing? Yes? Okay. So let's go through those, right? And then we're going to go through a needs analysis of let's take care of these ideas, these concepts, and then let's look at, as we get into appointments, how can we be more effective? So first and foremost, our mindset. One thing you may want to write down if you haven't ever written it down before or recorded it is that gratitude is the highest form of energy. Gratitude is the highest form of energy. What does that mean? Well, you know, sometimes when things are going really well, like 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year ago, for many of us, right? And there was nothing that was impacting our world at the level that COVID-19 is impacting our world today, right? We find that gratitude is the highest form of energy. So sometimes it's hard for us to be able to identify what we're grateful for because things are going so well. In a time like this, you can be grateful for very simple things. I'm grateful for my breath. Well, coronavirus takes your breath away. Right? I'm grateful for food. Millions of people around the world are unemployed or laid off or have been furloughed from their job and are unable to be able to feed their family or struggling to feed their family. As you may know, inside Keller Williams, right, today in Malaysia, I'm certain you participated in Red Day. I don't normally wear a red shirt, and yet today, right, I actually never wear a red shirt except for on Red Day. And in Red Day, in our company, for those of you that are guests, 150,000 of our agents, you included, 160,000, 170,000 where we are now of our agents around the world take the day to give back to their local community. So today here in Austin, we worked with the Central Food Bank in Texas, and we donated a significant amount of money, tens of thousands of dollars, and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of food to the local food bank just here in Austin. Now, I know you did that in Malaysia, you did that in Indonesia, you did that in Portugal, you did that in the Philippines, with inside Keller Williams, and we did that around the world. We're actually just getting started. It's 8:48 in the morning here, right? So we're just getting started our Red Day. We're just getting started. You've just wrapped up your Red Day and making that contribution. The first thing to begin with in mindset is gratitude. Because ultimately your mindset is all about how you can reset the way that you think, how you can reset the way that you behave, how that you can reset your activity. And we all have different reset buttons. However, a universal reset button is gratitude, right? It's the highest form of energy and it gets all of us in a different place. It also clears your mind. This makes sense? How else can we reset ourselves? Well, it's the books that you read, right? Or that you listen to, right? So how are you filling your mind with positive energy, with positive information, with training, right? With audible books, right? The book I'm reading right now is called Performance Under Pressure, right? And it's a book about, right? How do you convert stressful or pressure-based situations in your life into success? The book that I just read before this one was called The Book of Joy, and it was an interview between Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama over a 5-day period of time to talk about how they see human suffering turn into success and joy in the world. Right? What books are you listening to? How are you, right, training yourself or impacting your mind? Because if you notice, as you grow, as you increase your education, as you increase what you're learning, right, you get excited to share things. It increases your energy, right? I love that people are sharing the one thing and the Millionaire Real Estate Agent and Shift and Flip and Hold and every book for Keller Williams, right, that's been written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. And absolutely, I have the privilege and pleasure of working with those individuals now on a frequent basis, and they're phenomenal. And those books are great to be able to look at too. So how are you feeding your brain, right? Listen, what's great about the Eastern culture in our world, right? And what we don't do so well in the West is slowing down your mindset or meditating, spending time to pray, right? So if that's part of your life, that's part of your world. By the way, that's a reset button. That's a reset button. Western culture doesn't do that well with that, right? We've learned from the rest of the world that we have the ability to do that, right? That we should be focused on that. We're not so good at it, right? You have a tendency to be far better than we are. So that's a reset button. Connecting with your family, speaking to people. When I was lead generating as a team leader in Keller Williams and we were building our business, when I would have a bad day or face a lot of objection or face a lot of poor feedback, right? Or face a lot of no's, in the middle of my calls, I'd call my wife. Because she's not going to object or reject me, right? She married me. She's stuck with me, right? and she's my best friend, and she would joke around with me, and she'd connect with me, and it got me back in a good mood, and it was a reset button for me to get back into making calls. See, the important thing to know is that people far often will say no, or far more often will say no to your energy than they'll actually say no to your words. So the problem with being objected with over and over and over again is your energy starts to go down. And what you're not realizing is the way you're communicating is felt. Whether it's over the phone, whether it's on a Zoom call, whatever that is, right? You're felt. And so how you're resetting your energy, how you're resetting your mindset matters, because people are often saying yes to your energy, even if your words aren't so great. Right? So how do you reset that? Well, I used to call my wife. You know, I used to also call my dad, right? My dad taught me sales. My dad's been in sales for 35 years. So when I had objections I couldn't handle, I called my dad. Now, I am a coach, and I've had a coach for the last 7 years. I've had multiple coaches. So who else did I call? I called my coach, right? To be able to learn things, to go through them. You may call a leader, somebody in your organization, a mentor, somebody you're connected with, right? To be able to help you through that, to deal with it right at that moment, to overcome that, or get a different perspective on that objection, right? This is part of your daily routine. Now, the other person that I would call is my mom, right? And the reason why I'd say that is because I think all of us could call one of our parents, or all of us could connect with a family member. And I will be honest, I played college baseball. I know that baseball is not as big in Indonesia and Malaysia, right, as it is in the United States. And maybe I'm wrong. I know it's really big in Korea. I know it's really big in Japan, right? And yet, that being said, if I'm wrong, I apologize, right? Because I love baseball. I played in college, and I coached in college. And I always got upset when my mom would get excited when I would get out, right, or not be successful. And she still was up cheering and going crazy. And it was really frustrating and annoying, right? And I got upset. However, that's the perfect person to call when you're being objected to, or you're being rejected consistently, because she'll always be supportive. So who are those people in your world that you call that reset your mindset, right? How are you on a consistent basis every day plugging into gratitude? Do you have meditation or prayer, if that's what you are focused on, right, in your day on a daily basis? Are you making a decision, right, to be able to learn on a daily basis and educate yourself in such a way that you get energized and you're finding other resources inside book and material, right, to be able to grow and change your mindset? Does that make sense? Right? Where is it time blocked on your schedule? And now we're going to go into schedule. Now we're going to go into what is another problem we saw commonly from you, right, that you're experiencing. Where is it time blocked on your schedule, right? What is this part of your morning or the part of your day where you go through a routine to get yourself in a positive mindset? By the way, some other people listen to music. Some other people work out and exercise, right? And I do all those things too, right? Where is that time blocked on your schedule to start your day in positive energy? Right? You make a choice of how you'll show up each day. The energy and the activity that you start your day with, right, the behaviors you begin your day with, are what allow you to be able to make that choice. And by the way, just like Vincent's saying right now, if somebody interrupts that energy in a positive way, right, how do you reset that? Now, your schedule starts that way, right, every single day. And then what do you do as a real estate professional? Well, there's this concept in real estate called the rule of 5. And it couldn't be any more simple. It couldn't be any more simple. The rule of 5. The first thing that we do every single day as a real estate professional is we practice what we're going to say. That's called script practice. The second thing that we do as a real estate professional every single day is we say what we practice saying. We call that lead generation. The third thing we do is we follow up on everything that we said. We call that lead follow-up. The fourth thing that we do is we meet with the people that we generated to or followed up with. We call those appointments. And the fifth thing that we do on a daily basis is we negotiate the transactions to close. or we communicate with the people that we met with and we took a listing, or we're working with a buyer and we communicate through the transaction in order to close it. Does that make sense? Now, those are what we would call the dollar productive activities that exist in your schedule. Lead generation, lead follow-up, appointments, negotiating contracts, and script practice and role play. What I would challenge you to do is look at your schedule the way it exists right now and put a dollar sign next to each item in your schedule. And ask yourself the question, is this activity that I have on my schedule dollar productive? Meaning, is what I'm doing right now generating me income? Either present income or income in the future. People that I'm working with currently or building my database or my pipeline for the future. Is what I'm doing today, what I'm doing right now, dollar productive? If the answer is no, and it's an obligation, meaning it's time with your family, time with your kids, things that you need to do, right? Then we have to do it. It's got to remain on our schedule. If the answer is no and it's not dollar productive and it's not an obligation, remove it. Right? I know this is simple. And by the way, success is simple. It's not easy. Success is also boring. And that's what people don't like about it. Because even though we're from different parts of the planet and we're talking to each other, right, tens of thousands of miles away from each other right now, the truth of the matter is that all of us as human beings mentally crave what we call novelty, which is new things. We want things to be new and different and unique. And the problem with success is they aren't new things. It's the same series of tasks that we just reviewed every single day. Does that make sense? The reason why most people fail is because it's not because they don't know what to do, it's that they don't consistently enough do what they know they must do. That's the difference between winners and losers, between people that succeed and don't. And it's fundamentally that simple, and it's really it. And if you can overcome, right, the fact that success is simple, not easy, it tends to be boring, and that there's a series of tasks that you have to repeat over and over and over and over and over again, and consistently over a period of time to be able to be successful, well, you'll win. Well, let me put it this way. If I told you that if you could do something for 3 hours a day, every day for 1 year, and you would be rich, would you do it? People are saying yes. Great. It's called lead generation. It's called lead generation. If you make contacts to grow your database and reach out outbound to new people for 3 hours a day, and you did that every single day for 12 months, you would build a business so big and a database so big that you could build your real estate business and empire for the rest of your life. That's not a trick. It's not a gimmick. It's not a scam. I know people that have done it. I've led people that have done it. I've coached people that have done it, and I've done it. It's possible. You can do it. And yet, the reason why you don't have what you want is you're not committed to that behavior over a period of time. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying we've got to change the way that we look at things so the things we look at change. What I'm saying is that you've got to change the way you're operating, the way you're being, because if you keep doing what you're doing right now, you're going to get what you've always gotten. So how do we do that? The first thing is our mindset. We reset our mindset. We put ourselves in a positive place. We educate ourselves consistently. We find the people that are the reset buttons. We understand that gratitude is the highest form of energy. The second thing is we have a schedule that's built on dollar productive activities on a consistent basis. The third thing that we do, right? The third thing that we do is you may instill or enlist an accountability partner. If you don't have the ability or the economic ability to invest and pay a coach, you may enlist an accountability partner. You have 419 people from around the world on this call that all desire the same thing, to be economically successful and lead a life by design in real estate. it wouldn't be very complicated for you to begin to partner up, because when I ask a question and I say, do you desire to be successful? Would you like to be rich if you could do an activity for 3 hours a day, right? And knew that it would work. Would you like to do? I'm getting hundreds of yeses. So if I were you and I was on the call, I'd look at those people consistently chiming in, consistently communicating, consistently saying yes to the things I'm saying yes to. And I'd probably send them a private message and said, hey, will you hold me accountable every day to make this number of contacts every day? Would you hold me accountable every day to make this number of dials every day? Would you hold me accountable every day to put this many people in my database every day? Whatever it is, that's the one thing that you're committed to that will allow you to be successful to achieve your goals. And then offer that person and give that person permission to text you or contact you first thing in the morning, and text you or contact you in the afternoon or the evening. Every single day. Every day. Hold you accountable to that one thing, that one task that'll move you forward. Does this make sense? Right? So if you don't have somebody holding you accountable to it, it's like having a coach or a trainer, right? Or somebody, right? Or a teacher, right? We assign homework. Well, that works because it's due. And if not, you get a poor grade. We have personal trainers that sit there and tell you to do one more rep. Well, that works because they push you beyond your comfort zone. Who's your partner that's challenging you to do that simple and consistent behavior that we don't necessarily want to do, and yet we know we need to do to be able to continue to move forward? Does everybody know the comedian Jerry Seinfeld? Do you know that comedian? Pretty famous show in the United States. It's called Seinfeld, right? I'm seeing some people say yes, okay? He's pretty well known worldwide. Whether you know him or not, there's a famous comedian in the United States. His name is Jerry Seinfeld, and here's what he did. He built, he's a stand-up comedian, right? He had a TV show. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, so what he did is he decided that he was going to write one joke every day. When he started his career, he wasn't a very good comedian, and what he figured is, I'm just going to write down one joke every day. And when he wrote a joke, he went to his calendar and he put a big X, a big red X in his calendar, right? Giant X in his calendar. And all he wanted to do after that was not break the chain. He just wanted to keep putting an X in the calendar every day. Didn't have to be good, didn't have to be great, didn't have to rate 5, didn't have to rate 10. He just wanted to put an X on the calendar. What he was doing was building a habit. Because another model that I'll share with you of how you think in human psychology is that the way that you think determines the way that you behave. The way that you behave consistently determines your habits. Your habits determine the people you surround yourself with and your key relationships. And if you add up your thinking, your behavior, your habits, and your key relationships, what you end up with is your current ceiling of achievement. If you want to break through and have different results in your life, you have to change the way you think. You have to change the way you consistently behave. You have to adapt to and develop different habits, which will allow you to change and impact those key relationships, like an accountability partner or people that you surround yourself with that allow you to go to another level. So what is that simple thing, like Jerry Seinfeld, write a joke every day, make 10 contacts a day, contact 5 sellers a day, whatever that is, what is that simple thing that you're going to do and you're going to commit to every day and not break the chain? Right? And what's that one thing that accountability partner is going to hold you accountable to? Now, let's look at a couple other things really quickly, and we're going to look at this needs analysis, right? Because here we are telling you we're going to give you a needs analysis. We haven't even talked about it yet. So we'll get there, I promise, okay? So here's because you talked about a couple other things. I want to resolve these for you, give you a way of thinking about them, help you to be able to see that there's a way to attack this, okay? So we talked about, COVID-19 and their fear, right? And what's going on. Here's an idea, that's going to change the way that you look at things, I promise you, which is that education is the new lead generation. Education is the new lead generation. Here's what we mean by that. Are you teaching your clients how a remote transaction occurs? Are you teaching your clients how they buy a house remotely? Are you teaching your clients how they sell their home remotely? Well, Well, here's the problem that we found in the United States and around the rest of the world. A lot of clients don't lack motivation. They're just confused of how to go through the process. They don't know where to start. They don't actually know what's changed in the process or what's possible. No one's taught them that. So they're just sitting on the sidelines. No one's taught them, okay, when you as a buyer today, the first thing it's going to do is we're going to have a Zoom call, or we're going to use whatever platform that you use, and we're going to have our buyer consultation over Zoom. The second thing that's going to happen is I'm going to send you the agreements and you're going to sign them electronically. The third thing that's going to happen is we're going to go to virtual open houses, or I'm going to tour properties for you virtually. We're going to look at properties together based on your needs that we've conducted together, and we're going to make decisions on them, right? They haven't gone through step by step by step what's going to happen in that process. I'll give you a different example. By the way, that's buyers and sellers. That's both sides. I'll give you a different example. I own an office as an investor in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? It's on the East Coast of the United States. And it's a big city for the US. It's not really a big city for Asia, I'll tell you that, right? It's a big city for the United States. It has about 1.5 million people in it, okay? And we have an agent in that office, and they run a very successful team. Their team does $150 million, okay? And the husband and wife team, the Summers team, SOMERS, Stephanie Summers is an excellent agent. She's awesome, and she's a master of marketing. And right when this all began, by the way, in Pennsylvania, you cannot sell real estate right now. So it's one of the most restricted markets actually in the world in real estate. And that's in the United States. I know the rest of the world thinks that we have everything figured out. I promise you we don't, okay? I promise you we don't. We definitely don't. You've got a lot more figured out than we do. I promise you that, right? We're learning from you. The point to this is that Pennsylvania is not doing transactions. And so what did she do? Right? A lot of people are saying why. The reason why is that the governor in the state has said that real estate is not an essential service. So we cannot complete or close a transaction currently. Now that's been going on for 60 days. So what did Stephanie do? She filmed a series of videos and she put it out on Facebook and advertised these videos. And she said this, she said, you may be wondering how you would conduct a transaction right now remotely. Many of our clients are contacting us asking those questions. What we've done on the Summers team is we've filmed a series of 6 short videos to teach a buyer the step-by-step process of exactly how you buy a home in today's market. That being said, all you need to do is click this link. And when you click the link, right, you can register your information. When you register your information, we will send you the series of videos absolutely free. Over 400 people have watched those videos, click the link, register their information, and they've signed buyer agency agreements with dozens of buyers through that strategy and tactic. Education is the new lead generation. Does this make sense? What could you do simply to teach buyers or sellers in Malaysia, buyers or sellers in the Philippines, buyers or sellers in Portugal, right? The step-by-step process of conducting a remote transaction or a real estate transaction today, right? And how that works. Okay, I want to go to overcoming fear, objection handling, right? And creating urgency. Fundamentally, the question that I would have for you is, what are you doing to study sales and develop your communication or sales skills every day? And if I stop talking, I didn't freeze. I'm just giving you a moment to think about it, okay? I promise you, I'll keep moving so you're not worried about me freezing, okay? And yet, I've done enough of these calls, right, that I know that people are like, wait a second, no, I'm asking you to think, right? Right? If you're not studying sales skills, see, what we find is that real estate professionals often don't study the skills necessary to communicate with individuals, to be able to overcome limiting beliefs, to handle objections, right? And to communicate in a way where they're the expert of the market, right? So there's 2 fundamental things. Are you the local economist of choice? Do you understand all of the numbers in your local real estate market? That's how you educate buyers and sellers. That's how you help them overcome fear. That's how you increase their motivation, right? Or their urgency, increase their urgency, right? To be able to act. The second thing is, how are you studying communication or sales skills so that you increase your ability to hear and handle objections and communicate back? Just as a simple idea, right? When you hear an objection, there's a 3-step process that you take. You acknowledge the objection, you isolate the objection, and you handle the objection. You know, I so appreciate that you're concerned about how we're going to purchase a home in today's market. Is there anything else that's stopping you from buying a home today other than your safety concerns? Great. So since that's the only thing that you're concerned about, may I tell you a story about clients that we've been working with that have been able to successfully purchase a home and what the steps were in the process to be able to do that safely. When you handle an objection, you acknowledge, I so appreciate. That's acknowledgement. You isolate. Is there anything else that's stopping you from taking the next step, from moving forward, to closing on your transaction, from saying yes, whatever that is? That's isolation. Is there anything else? Then you handle. Another way to handle objections is called feel, felt, found. It's taught by an old school motivational and inspirational speaker and sales professional in the United States named Zig Ziglar. Okay. He's you can Google him, you can look him up on YouTube, right? He taught in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s sales and motivational, inspirational speaking and throughout the United States. And he had an objection he learned is very powerful. Feel, felt, found. I understand how you feel. So many other people have felt the same way. What so-and-so found was that, ... I understand how you feel. Other people have felt the same way. What one of my clients found, what one of the people that I know found, what a person that is doing a transaction found was, now, are those the results that you're looking for? Simple. These are skills, ladies and gentlemen, right? And if you don't have them, right, you will be out scripted by your clients. A different way of putting that is the person that runs out of script first loses. If you don't know how to handle the objection in multiple different ways, you will be out scripted by the client. Now, I've been in sales since I was a little kid, really, because I was trained by my dad in the backseat of my car. He used to bring me to appointments next to him, right? We used to listen to sales tapes when I was in the back of the car. It's indoctrinated in my head. It's in me. And even though I have all of that and I've sold my whole life, right, next to my desk, hold on, is one book on sales, right? Fanatical Prospecting. Hold on. I know I got another one here. Well, I've got the one thing that's right here. I've got Shift that's right here. I've got MREI that's right here. An MREA that's right here. I've got the Economist of Choice, Mastering the Market Cycle that's right here. Got an idea of how you create range and develop greater skills is right here. You see the point? If you don't have resources that you have access to that are helping you to improve right now, and you're not constantly using them, you're going to get beat in your market. Now, that's scary for the sense that it sounds like I've got to do all these things to compete. No, you don't. All you have to do is start. All you have to do is make a choice. Where would I like to begin my personal education and development as a real estate professional? Whatever you choose will be right for you, right? I'm years into this. I've read the MREA book 26 times, right? That's crazy. And yet I didn't start that way. I started with once. And the cool thing is, once you read that book once, you'll be far ahead of everybody else. I promise you, right? So the point to it is, right, how are you studying your craft? How are you mastering your craft? Experts never get put out of business. Watch this. Are there still master tailors in the world? right? There's master tailors, right? By the way, that's what I did before real estate. I was the vice president of a clothing company. So there's still master tailors in the world. Well, why? Machines can make suits. Why are there master tailors if machines can make suits? You don't need a human to do that. Personalized touch, right? Yeah, well, because they're an expert. People pay for expertise. By the way, they pay more. They pay more. Can I tell you one of the most affluent industries in the United States? Right? Horse racing. You see this around the world. The world loves horse racing. We love horses. We love the animal horse race. We love horse racing. Now, here's the funny thing. Some people thought horses were going to be a thing in the past when they invented this thing called the car. That was 100 years ago. Experts in raising and breeding horses make more money today than they did when horses were used as transportation. Experts never go out of business. What are you doing to become an expert in your market? Right? I know around the world that real estate is not always seen as the highest level opportunity. It's not always respected like doctors are or lawyers are. Here's the good news. I was an attorney and now I'm in real estate. So, right, if lawyers are more respected in your country, you just use me as an example and say, well, you know, that lawyer went to real estate, okay? The point to it is this. I know it's not as respected around the world, right, as it is here, right, as it is in the United States because of how well established we are, right, in an industry. And I know in other countries it may not be. However, here's the thing. If you're an expert in any industry, you change the way the industry is seen. You individually will change the experience in your business and you'll change the way people see your business. You have the ability to do that. So no matter how real estate is seen in the country that you're on this phone call in, no matter how you look at that, your choice to become an expert, your choice to become a student of your business, to become a local market economist of choice, to be able to learn the skills, dialogues, and communication to be able to communicate with a client will separate you and will allow real estate to be a respected industry. I promise you. Right? It will change that. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's talk about a really simple needs analysis. Now we've gotten the whole way there. Is it okay if I share my screen? Yeah? Okay. So I'm actually going to draw something for you. Let's see if I can. I may not be able to do that on something this large. So let's see where I can find it this way. May not be able to draw on this. Let's see. I apologize. I cannot draw on this. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to draw it. Okay? You're going to draw it. So I want you to draw a big plus sign. Big plus sign, right? Or split your screen in 4 quadrants, right? On your paper. Make it big. Okay? Got it? A vertical line with a perpendicular line through it. Okay, good. In the top left corner, I want you to write the word positive present. Positive present. Positive present. In the bottom left corner, I want you to write negative present. Negative present. In the bottom right, I want you to write negative future. Negative future. And in the top right, I want you to write positive future. Positive future. Got it? So it should look like a big plus sign like this, okay? In the top left, it should say positive present. In the bottom left, it should say negative present. In the bottom right, it should say negative future. And in the top right, it should say positive future. You're sitting there going, how is this a needs analysis? Okay. Here's how it's a needs analysis. You're going to write these 4 questions. What are your goals is number 1. What are your goals? Number 2 is, why are they important to you? What are your goals? Why are they important to you? Number 3, if you're recruiting, it's where is your business now? If you're working with a buyer or a seller, you could ask, right, how are you doing on those goals now? Either one, right? Where is your business, or how are you doing on those goals, right? And the last question is, what is the gap, right? What has to happen between where you are now and where you desire to be? What are your goals? Why are they important? Where is your business, or how are you doing on those goals now? And what has to happen between where you are and where you desire to be? Does this make sense? So far? Yes? No? Okay, let's put it all together. How is this a needs analysis? Let's act like we're with a seller, okay? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what are your goals? Well, my goals are to sell my house. Great. Why is that important to you? Well, I need to move to this new city, right? Because we got a new job, right? Or because somebody in my family moved, or because my husband or my wife got a different job, or we need to relocate, right? Or because we need to take care of one of our family members. Okay, great. I respect that. I understand that, right? And so right now you're here and you're not selling your home, right? So, is there anything else that's motivating you to sell your home? No, I mean, that's really it. I got to get it done right now. So what's standing in the way between where you are now and where you want to go? Well, I'm scared about what's happening. I don't want anybody that's in my home, right? And I'm concerned that if I let somebody in my home that has COVID, maybe that I could get infected, and I'm not really sure how the transaction is going to occur. Okay, got it. So what happens if nothing changes? Meaning you don't list your house and you don't sell it. Well, then I wouldn't be able to move where the new job is, and I would lose that job. Okay, so what you're saying is the problem is you need to sell your home. Your concern is that we need to sell it safely, and yet you have to sell the home. Yes. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and do the right thing and list your home and go through the process of how we'll do that safely. Now, did that seem really simple? Okay, it is. It's really simple for 2 reasons. Number 1, you always go back to their motivation. That's the reason why the questions are, what are your goals? What do you desire to do? Every client that you work with, every person that you work with has a problem. You're there to solve it, right? What are your goals? Or, what would you like to do? What's your ideal outcome in the situation? What would you like to accomplish? Why is that important to you is the most important question we could ever ask. Why are you motivated to do what you want to do? By the way, this is not an East-West thing, I promise you, right? And I know you're not thinking that. It's just, I do also know that sometimes, right, we get blamed for westernizing the world. And by the way, that's a terrible thing, and we shouldn't have ever done that, okay? We should have Easternized the world, because everything that you think and that you do is way better. I will promise you, though, this is a cultural and psychological thing for human beings. Why people are motivated to do what they do is the single most important thing to understand about a client. Because what you need to understand about that, or can understand or choose to understand about that, is if they're not motivated to sell their home, you can't convince them to. If they're not motivated to buy a home, you won't convince them to. There's a difference between what their goal is and that they want to do it and they're scared or they're objecting to certain things, and that they don't actually want to. And you've got to get good at understanding what is their motivation, and then helping them work through the struggles, limiting belief, challenges, or objections they have to achieve what their goal is. If they have a clear goal and they're motivated to achieve it, your job is to help them solve that problem. Now, why did we have you draw out positive, present, negative, future, positive, future? Because most people in life live in a positive present. Most human beings have a positive mindset and representation of what's happening in life. And in a needs analysis, here's what typically happens. An agent will sit down with a client and say, okay, let's talk about listing and selling your home, right? What would you like to do? Well, I'd love to sell my home, and I gotta move to a new place. Okay, great. Here's all the great things that I do to market your home. Here's what we can sell your home for. Here's what your house is worth. Here's what we're gonna price your home for. We're gonna get it sold so quick. Great, let's sell your home. And the person says, well, I appreciate all that. Let me think about it. Why does that happen? What happens because you don't know their motivation, you haven't talked about why, and you're allowing them to live in a positive present. The positive present that I don't actually have to make this decision and everything's fine and I'll just figure it out the way it goes. Most people, when they recruit, when they sell, talk to the client that is in a positive state of mind about everything that's happening, even though they have a problem, and they provide a future and a solution that's positive, and they have a positive to positive conversation. So if you drew an arrow over top of that 4 quadrants that we drew out, right? Put a big X through it. You do not want to have a conversation about what is great about what's happening for somebody and then tell them how great it's going to be in the future without touching on where their pain is. That's the negative present. That's the negative future. The model that I gave you is positive present to negative future to positive future. The reason why most sales professionals don't succeed is they have a conversation, they talk about everything that they can do, and they sell and tell, or they talk about features and benefits, or they sell a message, and then they ask somebody to sign paperwork. They don't allow that person to choose why they would sign the paperwork based on the fact that they have a problem that's unresolved. So how do you do that? You ask, what are your goals and why are they important? The negative present is what is happening right now that is not their goal. What are you struggling with? What are you challenged by? Why are you not selling the property? Maybe they listed it with another agent and it didn't sell. So you listed your home before and it didn't sell. What happened? Right? Well, the agent didn't do a good job. Okay, I can appreciate that. Did you list the property at the right price? Now, why do people not want to have this conversation? Because it's direct. Why do people not want to have this conversation? Because they want the client to set the terms. And the truth is that if what I saw a lot of the comments, the problems that you have are houses are priced too high, right? And they're not selling. Or that buyers are being unrealistic and they're not buying. Well, that's because you're allowing them to say, I want this, and saying, don't worry, I'll give you that, and never talking about what their need or problem is and addressing, if we don't resolve this need, what happens if nothing changes? That's a negative future. What happens if you don't achieve your goal? What happens if nothing changes? What happens if you don't sell the house? What happens if we don't find the house that you want? What happens if the price that you're looking for doesn't come on the market? Right? Are you willing to pay more for the home? Or are you willing to wait? Well, no, I'm not willing to wait. Well, what if you have to pay more for the home? Will you do it? Well, I guess I would. Okay, great. So understanding that this is what you want to buy, this is what you're looking for, and yet this is the actual home that you need to buy. And if that comes up at a higher price point, and are you willing to pay the price? If you don't have that conversation up front in a needs analysis, as simple as what are your goals and why are they important? Getting into what is not working for you? What is the problem that you're currently facing? What are you afraid of? What is the challenge that you have? And addressing those objections and overcoming that fear or that pause, identifying and helping them get clear on their motivation, and then saying, so if everything perfect doesn't happen, are you willing to adapt or adjust or change to be able to resolve this, to sell your home? Meaning if we list your home at this price and we show the property and it doesn't get an offer, right? Or we don't get an offer on the property, are you willing to reduce the price of your property in order to sell your home? to resolve this issue that you have? If you don't have that conversation in the listing appointment, in the buyer agency or buyer agreement appointment, if you don't have that conversation up front, you're going to be dealing with the issues of that objection the entire time you represent the client. A needs analysis is about understanding the problem the person has, addressing that problem and their needs, and setting clear expectations as to what's going to happen throughout the transaction to partner with them to achieve their goal, which is a positive future, that they sell their house or buy the house that they desire. Does this make sense? Most people do not have fierce or direct conversations. And that's the reason, right, why they're in a situation where they're representing clients and the client is not getting what they want, or the client is operating or running the real estate agent's business. Not about being negative. Negative present, negative future is not about you being negative, being rude, being nasty, being mean. It's about having them see, right, that most people are motivated by pain. Over 90% of people in the world are motivated by pain. Only 10% of people are motivated by pleasure. So it's about them seeing, if these things don't work, will you still have to do this? If we don't find the house that you're looking for in the next 10 days, since you need to sell your house and buy another one in that period of time, what will you do? Well, that's not an option. Great. So does that mean that if we find the house that you're looking for, you're willing to pay more? Your job as an agent is to uncover the problem that they have and their motivation, and then help them see what could happen in the market and set clear expectations for how you're going to go into the market to move forward. It is not to say, would you like to sell your house? Here's all the things that we can do to sell your house. Let's sell your house. Because that doesn't address their objections. It doesn't address their issues. It doesn't address their motivation. It doesn't address the challenges they might have. It doesn't address that they could be in a position that may not work. It doesn't set clear expectations for them. And unfortunately, it sets you up for poor communication and failure throughout the transaction. If you ask what their goals are, why they're important, what's happening right now, what's the issue, the challenge, the struggle that they're dealing with, right? And you say, okay, what needs to happen between where we are to where we need to go? And here's some of the things that could occur. Are you motivated in case we have to do these things to take the steps necessary to close on your home, to buy the home, or to sell the home? That's what's going to allow them to move forward. Does that make sense? A needs analysis is a little bit more of a detailed conversation. That's why I saved it for the end, because I wanted to have you get really excited about all the things that we could do and get some wins for you and do that, and then have the end of the conversation be one where you went, okay, I probably need to work on that. Or I've got some work to do there. Or I've got some skills to develop there, right? Or maybe I'm not asking the right questions in that. Or if I'm really honest, I'm really just telling them everything I'm going to do and hoping it works out. And I'm not showing up as a consultant and a partner, telling them the things and barriers or obstacles they may face and helping them make the best decisions for them, identifying their motivation and moving forward. Can I tell you the greatest resolution to clients that are not motivated? Get more clients. Build a bigger pipeline. Fundamentally, if you have 17 listings and one listing falls apart, you've got 16 more listings. No problem. If you've got one and one falls apart, you're in trouble. So it's about how many people are we representing, right? How big is our pipeline? It goes all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, right? All the way back to the beginning, which is specifically, right, how big is your pipeline? And if you were going to do something for 3 or 4 hours a day, every day for a year, and it would make you rich or build your business or build your empire, right, would you do it? And everybody said yes. That's lead generation. That's building a pipeline and a database so big that if somebody's not motivated, we can change that. So I want to take a look at a couple of these questions that we get, right? A couple of the questions to be able to help you with this, right? Move forward. So buyers and sellers are not being truthful, right? We're not in a hurry to buy or sell. I can wait for the price, so the property prices are going to fall or drop, right? two things to know there. Number one, if you're the economist of choice, meaning that you understand and know the numbers in your market, you can actually show them data or educate them on specific examples as to why what they're saying is not true. Second thing on that, right? I guess there's three things there. The second thing on that, Jessica, is that if you look at the shift book, right? In the beginning of the shift book, right, are some images and graphics of how the market actually works. Looking for the page, right? And I apologize. Here we go. Right. And what these graphics talk about is as the market starts to fall, right, as it starts to go down, right, how do you price the property? So let me look at this specific one to be able to show you. Hold on one second. Here we go. It's actually in Tactic 7, which is price ahead of the market. And they give you, here we go, page 146 and 147 of Shift, Jessica, specifically address, right, how you can teach a client, right? They go through, here's the price that the seller wants, here's the price correction, here's what they want, here's the seller, the price correction, and here's the market. And they talk through how do you list a property and how do you educate a client on what you will have to list the property for, okay? So that'll help you with that one. Okay, Carol, what if the owner said we will discuss the details directly with the interested party when you get a potential buyer to negotiate it with? So I guess what I'm hearing in that, Carol, and you can help me understand this, is that the person's saying they're not going to list their home with you. They're going to sell the home themselves, right? And they'll work with you if you bring a buyer. Is that what you're saying, Carol? Can you respond to that? These are for sale by owners, where they're selling their home themselves. They're saying, bring me a buyer and I'll sell the property.
No, Matt.
Yeah.
Generally, because the way Malaysian take listings here is most of them are non-exclusive.
Okay,
a lot of owners engage many agents as general open listings. And they kind of not want to reveal their last card to the agent and allow that agent to only come to that table when they have a serious seller, a buyer.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to handle that objection, okay, right? And to take an exclusive listing. I apologize, right? Now I have a clear understanding. Thank you, Jonathan and Carol, right? So taking exclusive listings versus non-exclusive listings is what we're talking about, right? So an exclusive listing, you know, one way to handle the objection is to ask the client, what do you do for a living? Right? And they're going to say whatever they do, right? And I would just ask them the question, say, great. So in your profession, right, when you work with whatever client that you work with, right, or if you work for a company, would it make sense for that company to have 17 people in your position? Or not? What would happen in your company if we took 10 people and they all did exactly what you did every day? What chaos would that create? What confusion would that create? What conflict would that create? By the way, how would the company win? Well, they wouldn't. It'd be kind of crazy, right? See, that time's just like this time. You're asking me and 10 other people to do the same job, right? And then communicate that with you. It's completely chaotic. How do you win? The way that I work is I operate as the real estate expert and economist of choice in the local market. And so why don't we do this? Why don't we go through this conversation today and let me understand the motivation that you have. And let's determine together whether we're the right partners to exclusively represent and list your home. And we'll sign a listing for a period of time that's exclusive. And if we don't do the job to represent the sale of your home, then you can go back and non-exclusively list your home and you can have me and 20 other people attempt to sell it. Does that make sense, Carol? Is that a way that you could look at handling that? Okay. Some other things that I'm seeing in here, right? Oh yeah, by the way, May said a great thing, right? They won't pay 10 employees to do the same thing. right? And I understand that agent is not paid until they get the job done. The point is that it creates chaos, right? It's not actually efficient for the seller. And there's no proof or evidence that that's a better experience for anyone in the transaction, right? So another question you could just simply ask is, how does that benefit you? Right? Somebody says, I'm going to let everybody represent and see who brings me a buyer. I would just say, so how does that benefit you? And let them answer. I don't know what they'll say, right? Oh, because there's a bunch of people and they'll represent more people. Not necessarily. Do you believe that there's an infinite number of buyers? Do you believe that there's other people that can generate buyers that are not currently motivated to buy a property? It's not a t-shirt, it's a house. There's only a certain number of people that can buy it. So having more agents reach out with those people is not going to change the communication to identify those agents. It's not going to change the number of people that are available to buy your property. What actually changes it is the primary thing of the price of the property, number one, and how we market it. That's it. You don't need 10 people to do that. And you're just going to confuse the market. Right? By the way, who do they negotiate with? Okay. So last thing that I'm going to answer in here is a lot of people saying people that are unmotivated. You're not going to change somebody's motivation. If they are fundamentally completely scared and they don't have a need to buy or sell, you have to go generate more clients. What I would say is put that person on your pipeline and keep following up with them. Okay. So I'd love to see some of the ahas that you have, right? Type in the chat box or share with me. What are some of the ahas you have? What have you taken away from our conversation today?
Hey, Matt, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, please.
Because generally, for a long time, a lot of way how realtors behave in Malaysia is they try to become that great salesperson, and going into a consultative conversation may not be the something that they're used to. That's the unnatural. Right?
Yeah.
What are your advice for some of the audience here today to move from E to P, to be really purposeful, to be really getting out of the natural and go into the unnatural? What would your advice be for them?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jonathan. What I would say is do what athletes do. Record yourself practicing and watch it. Yeah. We have technology today that we can utilize that we never had before. So either on your phone or on Zoom or on some type of platform like this, record yourself going through a listing presentation, record yourself going through a buyer presentation, and then watch it. And with love and respect, it will be painful. It's painful to watch yourself, right? And yet that's what athletes do.
Yep.
Right? Athletes watch tape of them performing, and then they change their performance based on watching the evidence in the tape. So that's what I would challenge you to do, right? Get an accountability partner, get a script practice partner, right? Educate yourself on the communication skills and the sales skills, right? That you need to be able to develop and grow, right? Another great book is called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. There's so many great sales books, right? And study that, and then give a presentation, practice your presentation, and then give the presentation and watch it back. Here's the other thing I would say about that, which is that if you schedule an appointment in your schedule, every day it should say appointment, 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 appointment in your schedule. And then you schedule the actual appointment into that time, right? So if you have an appointment in your schedule each day and you don't have any buyer or seller to meet with during that time, you take out your listing presentation or your buyer presentation and you present it on your own by yourself as if you were presenting it to a buyer or seller, because you have the time block to be able to go through the presentation. Right? If not, Jonathan, you're practicing on live bodies.
Yep.
And we don't let doctors do that.
Yep.
Right? They'll kill the patient.
Yep.
So you have to go through, watch it back, take that move forward from there. What else can I help you with?
I think on the other perspective is, in order for us to enter that consultative mode, we really have to be the expert of the market, and we really have to be the local economists, like you said, because it is probably not as effective if we are not there in that level of expertise. Then this will be a challenge for us.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, setting yourself apart. So think about it this way. If I've got 10 people that I'm competing against, right? Non-exclusive listings make this really clear, right? If this hasn't resonated with you, it has to. Because you're in a market or in a country where non-exclusive listings exist, right, and are common, what you have to accept is the fact that on a consistent basis, you will be competing for that client. So how do you compete? The best way to compete is to be better than your opponent, right? And so how do you become better? Well, if you have more knowledge or information than the opponent does, you'll often win.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's really just studying the market at such a level. How do you do that? Well, the simple way to do it is look at homes. Look at them online. Look at homes. Look at pricing. Look at what they sell for. Don't take a lot of time. You guys aren't commuting. I'm not commuting. Take 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, right? That you would normally commute or be driving in your car, and look at homes. Yep. Look at what do they sell for, right? What were they priced for, right? Who sold the home? How did it sell? How long was it on the market? Whatever information you can access, look at the home. And then when you go into that conversation with your comparative market analysis and your needs analysis, do as much research as you possibly can on the area, right? And on the market to be able to give them the most accurate and detailed information as possible. Because the truth is, the way you'll win, Jonathan, more often than not, is that with respect, a lot of people are lazy.
Absolutely.
And they'll go into appointments unprepared and not doing the work. And they'll just expect that, and here's the other thing, it's non-exclusive. So, I'll get the listing, everybody will get the listing, you'll take the listing, everybody will take, well, we don't have to really do any work. Well, how do you make yourself unique? Prepare, do the work, provide different information. So when you go into the appointment, they say, oh yeah, we'll give you the listing. We gave it to 20 other people. And you say, well, I appreciate that. That's not actually why I'm here today. I'm here to take the listing on my own. And I'm here to sell your property. So I'd like to go through how we could do that. Now that would take more work and you'd be unique and it would be a different conversation. You'd have to be more skilled. Yep. And yet if you could approach it that way, you'd win.
Yeah. It sounds like we got to go in there with the data and be prepared to show them the evidence of how we're going to do it, how it's going to be done. Someone once told me that evidence comes before emotions.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Is there any more questions we could answer from the chat box? Any of our audience would like to ask Matt any questions? We still got a couple more minutes to go. Everybody is loving this, Matt. Education is the new lead generation.
It is. It's education for yourself and education for your clients. If you teach people how a transaction occurs, right, you're able to move forward. Or if you teach them how a transaction occurs, you're able to move forward.
Yeah, awesome.
Right. And what I see Pamela say is what's heartbreaking is after you do all the extra work, the seller will share your work with other agents and not give you the exclusive listing. Pamela, you're right. You're right. And we can't fix that all the time. We can fix it with the people that say yes.
Yep.
Right? I did it all the time as a team leader. I did all this work and prepared somebody's entire career. I walked it through and said, okay, let's talk about how we're going to help you grow your business. Let's get the MREA book out. Let's go through everything. Okay, here's how we're going to do this. Let's draw out your whole career, right? And we went through positive present, negative future, positive future. We made them an offer letter. We moved them into the business. We did all these things and then went to another company and told the other company, here's everything Matt said, right? Have me do it here. And here's what I experienced, Pamela. They went to another company. That company couldn't deliver on the conversation because they weren't the expert, right? And then they came back. So Pamela, some of the time, you're going to go through that whole conversation and that process. They're going to get really frustrated and upset. And that person's going to go somewhere else and they're going to turn around and come back to you. You won't win them all. You'll win more of them that way, right?
Yeah.
You'll win more of them that way.
And you just got to book the next person and the next person and the next person and just fill that lead generation as that gap for this case that you're losing right now.
sometimes the owner refuses to show up when we have a buyer to view the property, right? Sure, right? That's absolutely what's going to happen. The good news is if your buyer is motivated, you just show them something else.
Yep.
And then what you do is you call the owner, right? And you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm so sorry. We had a buyer ready, willing, and able to purchase your property, and you weren't able to show the property. What we did is we went out and we bought a different home. Now, what I'd like to talk to you about is how we could exclusively represent your property so that doesn't happen to you again in the future. Are you available at 1:30 or is 2:30 better for you?
Right. Yep.
Right? I mean, just sell them another house. Notice that buyers are more held back due to many uncertain times, also employment change. How to handle the seller that urgently needs money, keep pushing for the sale of the property, reduce the price, reduce it again, right? Reduce it again. I understand, right? The challenge of that conversation and how fundamentally difficult it can be able to hear that. And yet we are in difficult times. They need to reduce the price.
Absolutely.
And they've got to reduce it again. And it may get to the point where, wait a second, if they reduce it to a point, they're not going to walk away with any money. Yeah, that's right. Right? It may happen. If they desperately need to sell the home and they urgently need the money, then they've got to reduce the price. They've got to make a decision between how urgent they need the money and how much money they need. Right? And that's where you need to go back to them and say, okay, is it that you need money right now and the only asset that you have is to sell the property and that's how you're going to generate it? Or is it that and it's any amount of money, right? Then we need to reduce the price and get whatever money we possibly can, right, for you as soon as possible. Or is it that you just need money and there's other assets and you want the home to be this, right? Somebody said, I'm with a property developer. Do I need to practice my script every day? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because one of the biggest things for you is that you're going to be working with new construction properties. And the challenge is that you're going to have people that say, you know what, I could buy a home that's pretty good. That's pretty great, right? That's a reduced price based on what's happening in the market. Why should I buy a new property? You're getting a lot of objections like that. So yeah, the reason why I practice your scripts every day is your objections will be new. You're going to have new responses. Likely, I believe you would pronounce her name in English, Sukumari.
Yep.
Right? I apologize if that's incorrect. And yet that's the reason why I think you would do that, right?
Yep.
Owner rejected hotel discussion with potential buyer, but an addictive perspective of non-exclusive environment. Does it mean that our CGI need to be scaled even bigger before we can achieve our target? Yes. Yes. Right? Gary Keller teaches us in the one thing, right, that you think big, you aim high, and you act bold. It's the same thing in the MREA, right? And the size of your thinking and the size of your goals changes the size of your activities. Remember, your goals inform your activities. So should we set a higher goal based on where the environment is and create a larger pipeline? Yes, you'll have to. There'll be more fallout today and people's motivational change. So you should be looking at scale. Is that what you want to hear? No. Is there a different answer that I could give you? No. Some of these things are accepting where we are and making the choice to positively move forward, right?
Yep.
Investors are looking for a trustworthy agent. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Investors are always looking for a trustworthy agent. By the way, cash buyers are going to come back in the market.
Yep.
As prices change, and this is around the world. Investors come back in the market around the world as prices change. As prices reduce or prices change or they are impacted or affected, more cash buyers, more investors come into the market. Are you studying real estate investing? Do you know how to help an investor generate a return? Do you understand a needs analysis for a real estate investor? Are you teaching your clients that have bought a home with you before how to buy another one as an investor?
Yep.
Right? Those are all ways to generate different business, right? That's probably the only or one of the only ways to generate business that doesn't currently exist in the real estate industry. Most of what you're doing is you're looking to find the motivated in lead generation and identify the people that have already made a decision to transact real estate, buy or sell. In investing, you can actually create individuals that were not necessarily looking at real estate as an asset by educating them and helping them develop a criteria and a strategy if they have the capital to do it, and partner with them to be able to go through that process. You can teach people how to build wealth through real estate.
Yep.
One of the only ways to create clientele that don't currently exist in the market.
Yeah. And that's why Gary wrote the book back during the crisis in the US, the $1 Million Real Estate Investor, just to educate people about the opportunity to invest at that moment of crisis, right?
Correct. Right. It was intended as a closing gift.
Yep.
Right. So that when you close a transaction with a buyer or seller, you say, here's the Millionaire Real Estate Investor, right? I'd love for you to read this. And when you finish it, let's grab coffee and talk about what you learned. Right. Now, we used to do a joke when we sold real estate on our sales team, right? In the office right behind me, right? And obviously that's virtual, right? And yet, so we used to say, hey, I'd love for you to read this so we can help you buy your next house. Right. And people will go, my next house, I just spent all this money on this one. I had saved most of my life saving this one. I go, I understand. Breathe. Right. It's just a joke. I want you to read this. If you want to talk about it in the future, let me know. Right. We're so happy to have you as a client. Now, the other thing that we did jokingly and having fun on the front end of the transaction is we meet with a client and go, I'm so excited to meet with you today, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, right? Just curious from you, would you like to buy one house or two? You'll be surprised when the first person tells you, thanks for asking, I'm actually looking to buy 6 or 7. If you don't ask, you won't get it. And also, it's a really funny conversation because what it allows you to do is allows you to say, well, listen, all kidding aside, the reason why I have that conversation with you is that we have a book called Millionaire Real Estate Investor. I'll either give it to you now or at some point in the transaction. And what I find is that a lot of the people that we do business with make a decision to begin investing in real estate because we have a choice as our business and in our team where we educate people on how to build wealth through real estate. So I asked that question because, number one, we've had people say that they're looking to buy more than one house, and we're there to help them do that. And we know most people are not, and they don't think about doing that and through investing. And so I'd love to teach you that. And you just let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in throughout this process. Anyway, let's get started talking about you buying this home.
Yep.
Right?
Wow.
And so how many times have I read the Blue Book? I probably only 4 or 5. I've read the Shift book 8 times, right? And I'm going through it a 9th time right now. And then I have them all on Audible book too. So I listen to them on Audible as well. Right. So it's just a good way to go through it and listen and get the information. Every time you read it, you'll take something different away, right? You'll have a different experience from it.
Wow. Well, Matt, in the interest of time, can I just take a couple of minutes right now to make some announcements, and then maybe you can give us your one last thought for everyone, one last gold nugget. So everyone just hang on for a second. Can I have an announcement, please? Virtual support. Now, what Matt has been talking about and what we've been talking about during this whole lockdown period for the past 7-8 weeks, the content and the concepts are all from some of these books that was written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan of Keller Williams. So if you are interested to look at these books right now, because of the CMCO right now, we are already able to kind of make arrangements to deliver the books to you guys, or you can pick up at our offices. So this is, send an email to hello@refuel.com and someone will be responding to you about the books that we have in stock in our offices right now. Next slide, please. Next week, we'll be having 2 more sessions on training. In the daytime, I will be doing a session on Ask Me Anything. How are we going to work on our business during COVID-19? I will be playing a video that Gary Keller interviewed Keith Cunningham. I was very fortunate to be on a mastermind class with Gary and a team of OPs a couple of weeks ago. I think, Matt, you were there as well. Yeah. Absolutely blow me away in how Keith Cunningham put the concept of how we should be running our business. So I'll be playing that video and I'll be having some conversation with you guys about how are we going to enter this business during this COVID-19 period. And we're going to have a virtual 3D solution showcase of our new partnership with Matterport, where we are the exclusive partner for Malaysia. Next slide, please.
Cool.
Okay, so that's the session that we're going to talk about, where we're going to talk about the COVID-19 new normal in our country. So I'll just give you 10 seconds to quickly take that QR code down and register for that session on Monday at 10 a.m. Next slide, please. And this is going to be the showcase of Matterport, where we're going to have an exclusive preview. Find out how you can just pay for 1 year subscription and get a 360 camera for free only through KW Malaysia. Next slide, please. And this is our Red Day. We are celebrating Red Day as well. And we have already raised enough funds to support families. So if you know of any rents in Malaysia that need support right now, we have the funds in place. Get them to contact that contact so that we can reach out to them and give them those resources that they need right now in these trying times. That's our Red Day campaign for 2020. Next slide, please. So Matt, last question. What is that one thing that you want to leave with us here? By the way, can you describe the screen, please, Marcus? Thank you. By the way, how many of you enjoyed this session right now? And you want Matt to stay on for another 5 hours? You want Matt to stay on for another 5 hours? Quickly say yes right now. And I will do my virtual hook and kind of put him down on that chair right now. There you go. Matt, what is your one last thing that you want to tell all of us here in Malaysia and the rest of the people from around the world right now? What's that one last nugget that you want to give us?
Work works. Work works. You know, there's a lot of different ways to be successful in the real estate industry. What you have to commit to is doing the work, right? And the fundamental decision that you have right now is, and Gary Keller asks this question, and I'll ask you, which is, what else are you going to do? Right? You've made the decision to do this. It's challenging here. Yes, it's definitely challenging here. It's challenging everywhere. It's challenging in every industry. So you've got to make a decision to wake up every day, build a routine, and do the work. And if you choose that, you will be successful. It's just you get up the next day, and you get up the next day, and you get up the next day, right? I've had the privilege of paying in taxes more than I made before I started in real estate. The only way that happened is because I did the work every single day, right? And I can tell you that because I've had an experience in my life where I didn't have very much in my life, right? And now we have an abundant life, and I'm grateful for it. And it was every day, and it's every day of doing this, right? This is my work today, right? It's connecting with leaders and top producing agents around the world to be able to pour into them and add value so that in the future we have the opportunity to grow the businesses that I'm a part of, right? Including Keller Williams. That's my work today. And the work that I prepare to be able to do this, to be able to give you energy, give you value, give you information that you can utilize that's simple to execute on. And yet there's 7 years of doing this work every single day to have this phone call. How do you start that cycle? Don't break the chain. Work works. Take the first step, right? Make a decision that you're going to do that. Choose this industry. You're already in it, right? And exploit it with the opportunity that you have. Malaysia, Portugal, the Philippines, right? Indonesia, you're some of the most beautiful countries in the world, the most incredible people in the world. And you have a partner in a company that from around the world, if we've been able to offer you any value, is here as your partner to be able to allow you to be successful, to give you a different perspective on things, to be able to, for you to listen to a crazy American, you know, for an hour and a half today, right? Whatever it is, the point to it is, right, that it gives you the ability to connect in a different way around the world and understand you're part of a bigger community. You can do it in this company. You have to choose, right? And it starts today with doing the work, and then you just do it tomorrow. You can only control right now. So just, right, I know it's late, right? You get off this call, write down a couple of your notes, whatever you're going to do, get some sleep, and make a decision. You're going to get up tomorrow, and you're going to start the work.
Yeah. You created a problem for us, Matt, because I think with the energy that you just brought onto us, I'm not so sure how are they going to get to bed right now. So that's their problem right now. But thank you very much, Matt, for taking your time off your business. And I know it's great day. You probably have a lot of work, and you're a very busy person. But thank you so much that you make a choice to support us in this season of trying times in Malaysia and the rest of the world. So thank you very much, Matt. God bless, and hopefully we'll see you again in Austin soon.
Of course. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate all of you guys. And go get them. You're going to set the world on fire. We're here for you.
Okay. Thank you, man. Thank you. The rest of you guys, have a good rest of the night. I hope you all have a good time. And see you the next training next week. Okay. Have a good weekend. Talk to you all later. Thank you very much.